Hey guys, it's Sharmise Idris here, and today we'll be making one of my best-selling products, my triple body butter. I already have my water going over here so that I can use the double boiler method to melt all of my butters and harder oils down. But first I'll get started with measuring out my butters and oils. And one thing that I do now every time is that I cut down my butters so that they're easier to melt so that I don't destroy the nice properties of the butters and oils that I am currently melting. Be sure to check out the description box below because I will have the recipe down there, and I will also have the link to my Amazon page where I buy a lot of the things for the shop and the studio. So I called this recipe my triple body butter because it is made up mostly of my 3 favorite butters, which are shea butter, cocoa butter, and mango butter. And I don't add any type of scent to it at the end because I do like that faint cocoa butter smell. Now that I've weighed out my butter, I will go ahead and add in my coconut oil. And typically if I'm making this in the summer, which I don't do anymore, but my coconut oil will be melted, so I wouldn't add it in this stage if my coconut oil is melted already. I would add it with the jojoba oil and the sweet almond oil. Now it's time to melt it all down. And while that's melting down, I will say that this recipe is now a seasonal recipe for me, and actually all of my body butters are seasonal now. I don't sell them in the summer anymore because I do live in South Carolina, so they do melt. And of course, it still feels great, but it loses that whipped texture when it melts and then it solidifies again. But if you are looking for a version of this recipe that does not melt, go head over to my Patreon, and this is one of the exclusive videos that I'm putting out this month is my triple butter cream recipe, and that recipe has been proven to be able to be shipped from South Carolina to California without melting. It is close to the same texture of this butter, but it leaves no type of greasy residue because it is more of a thick lotion. And while you're over there, you can join the community and also have a say-so in the next videos that I create. Now that it's all melted down, I'll let it cool off just a little bit, and then I'll add in my sweet almond oil and my jojoba oils. Now I'm going to put my mixture in the refrigerator for an hour to an hour and a half. Alright guys, I'm not even going to lie to you. I forgot that it was in the refrigerator, so it was in there for about 2.5 hours, so it is fully solidified. But I'm just going to take my hand mixer and try to loosen up what I can for now, and then I'll let it sit out for a little while because it is about 86 degrees here. Alright, so I let it sit out for a little while, so I'm going to continue whipping it. And now I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons of Arrowroot Powder, and that is really just to cut down on the greasiness. And of course, the carrier oils you choose and the butters you choose will dictate how greasy your mixture is, but the Arrowroot Powder does help cut down the greasiness. Now I'm going to whip it for about 7 to 10 minutes on the highest setting on my hand mixer. Now I'm going to take my body butter and put it in the freezer for about 5 to 10 minutes. And I do this just because I want it to harden up a little bit more because it is very hot in my shop right now. For whatever reason, I chose the hottest day in October in South Carolina to make body butter. And now I'm just going to whip it for about 2 more minutes. When I make this mixture for my 4-ounce jars, I do use a piping bag. So you'll see the piping bag over this taller container just so that I can scoop a lot of the body butter in at one time and pipe it into the 4-ounce jars. But if it's my 8-ounce jars, which are like a wide mouth jar, then I do not pipe it. With these 4-ounce jars, it is much easier to pipe the body butter into the jar. This recipe made a total of 9 4-ounce jars, with just a little bit left over for myself. And make sure you note that the body butter will get a little harder when you put it in the jars and keep it overnight, which is the perfect consistency for me because the first day is just a little too soft. Alright guys, I did want to show you what it looks like on my arm because I'm sure people will want to know how greasy the mixture is. So here it is. And I always tell people a little goes a long way with this body butter. All right, the last thing I need to do is shout out my patrons. First of all, I want to thank everybody who went over to Patreon the day that I launched and, became a patron. I appreciate you so much. And like I stated earlier in the video, the triple buttercream recipe will be only on my Patreon as an exclusive recipe at the $5 and up tier. And then so the first person I need to shout out is the first patron I had, which was Chris at Gen 3 Skincare. I appreciate you. Make sure you check out her link in the description below. Next is the Mind the Gap podcast, which is actually my fiance. Thanks, boo. Their link is down in the description as well. And lastly, Sandy, you really support everything that I do. Yeah, you already know. So thank you. And her link is down in the description below to her Instagram page. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. And yeah, see you in the next one.